I need a social media manager. I'm dead serious. I need someone to run my social.
You should.
Yeah, somebody out there. Send me a resume. Somebody out there.
Huh? Yeah, that seems like a good job for Pete.
Listen, here, 2 things I can guarantee you is that, one, if I gave backup producer Pete access to my social handles, I would be fired within a day.
Sabotage you immediately.
1,000%. We'd all be fired, but especially me. Yeah. I would be canceled within 24 hours.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. I'm Connor Rogers alongside Matthew Berry and Lawrence Jackson. A load management day for Jay Croucher.
Load management day for Jay Croucher. Desperately needs the time off. He's an old man, chasing all of his kids around with his betting slips. But what I will say here is, you know who would be a great social media manager for me? Lawrence Jackson. Do you follow at Lord Don't Lose on all social crushes on social media? Would you just take over my accounts if I just gave them to you?
Look, you're promised 3 things.
Okay.
Some solid content, a lot of trash talking, and never sliding in no DMs.
Yeah, I'm down.
Those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 things you guarantee me. I'll send you my salary requirements. And,
done.
You know, we talk business.
All right,
I think people would catch on that it's not you. That's the problem. They would be like,
I would have to.
You saying Lawrence has a different tone than I do?
The tone of the tweets would be a little different.
I gotta practice my Berry typing tweeting.
Right.
I gotta practice that.
Yeah, but it would be entertaining.
It would be. It's like, you ever see the Eddie Murphy old white guy, sketch. It's like, hello, how are you?
Right.
Lawrence would have to do that. Lawrence will give you a little bit of middle-aged white guy.
Once they see Berry tweeting out, that's for sure. Then everybody gonna know.
They know.
So we gotta just get a little.
Let's see what happens. I'm down to try.
Yeah, how? They're like, Barry just get hip? What happened?
I mean, look at the jacket today.
This is shout out to Amy, Alexis, and Stephanie and Wardrobe.
I was just about to ask you. Picking your clothes because you be swagged up now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I love this outfit, but no, this has nothing to do with me. Obviously, it's our team. It's the team that is. It takes 1 million people to make me look presentable for television.
What a time. All right, we got Keep It Open or Close It Out starting because, listen, there's already some big decisions to make going into the fantasy week 2. We'll talk Jaylen Warren, Diontae Johnson, plenty of others. Big injury updates, so stick around.
Couple of
We're
running
talk
backs,
Dolphins
for sure.
running back room, Christian McCaffrey. And, guys, today, a very important drinks-free. First responders drink-free for everything they have done.
Indeed.
Not only in the great city of New York, but across the country. Shout out to my dad, 36 years on the FDNY in the Bronx, and my uncles. Everybody helped out at 9/11, so shout out to them.
Yeah.
Papa Roger, shout out to him and his entire crew.
Yes.
Absolutely, and everyone on 9/11. Seriously, never forget.
All right, keep it open or close it out. Let's jump right in with the big one here. Kirk Cousins, not a great Falcons debut, and we got to hear from his head coach, Raheem Morris, on his health, rust. Take a listen.
So he's healthy. He came back he didn't show any ill signs coming in the game or coming recovering from the game. And it's kind of his first live action.
Yeah, obviously, probably some rust from not playing for so long, but that's just with all of them. Grady had a bunch of rust. We had a bunch of guys out there, Avery Williams, Kirk, and we want to get better, but we got to play better. At the position, we got to play better around them.
So Raheem Morris, Matthew, kind of shuffling aside any health questions.
Yeah, Grady's rusty. Everyone's rusty. He's got to play better. We all got to play better around him. We got to play better. Yeah, you know what would help play better if you're healthy? Yeah. That was awful. He looked bad, dude.
It's the eye test.
He looked bad.
Yeah. He can't move. I mean,
no.
And it got to
he looked like me out there.
It got to the point where it affects your decisions as a quarterback, right? You don't feel comfortable on the one leg, so you probably trying to compensate. Then it's like it started affecting your eyes, and then he's making throws that that second interception, that was like all decision, no Achilles. Like he just threw it this one right, this one. That one was
that was
short,
bad too.
But there was
look at the footwork on that one.
There was other plays where the pocket was clean and he threw it into the dirt. This is the one right here. That's the one you don't make whether you're healthy or not. That's just and that's going through a whole game of just like bad play. Like he gave us Desmond Ridder numbers, but without the rushing.
Yeah, I mean, it was all arm. You watch those plays, it's all arm. There's no footwork there. He's not stepping. No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all back foot stuff. It's all just trying to off of his arm, and didn't work out as you see the next gen stats here for his passing chart. Like, look how short this is Kirk Cousins, who used to chuck it deep, like it was and like this is all line of scrimmage stuff. This is mostly dinking stuff. He took a couple of shots in the middle of the field, but really, this was bad, Lawrence.
Yeah.
This is your Falcons.
I
blame you.
Michael Penix, you're on the clock, young man. He did do some good things, though. He did.
Okay.
He finished.
He handed off?
Huh?
He handed off to Bijan Robinson. Those were good.
Yes, 18 times, matter of fact. He threw a touchdown pass to wide open Kyle Pitts in the end zone. That was good.
Broken coverage, yes.
Right. He finished ahead of Joe Burrow and Caleb Williams in fantasy week 1.
All right.
But he was behind Bo Nix.
That's hard to do.
It was also awful.
Gardner Minshew and Bryce Young.
Dude.
That's who he was behind in fantasy.
Dude.
So I'm going to keep it close. I got him at quarterback 28 this week. The Falcons are 6.5-point dogs. Now you may say, oh, well, they have to throw. How I see it is that means they're going to pin their ears back. Bryce Huff didn't get going against the Panthers. They got Nolan Smith over there. Those guys are going to get after it.
Right.
And if the Eagles are up multiple touchdowns, that's all they're going to do. They're going to pin their ears
Play
back.
their strengths.
Yeah, they just saw what T.J. Watt and them did to him. So that's a scary start. We talked about it Sunday, Matthew. It would have taken me 4 beers to start him.
Yeah.
And this is why.
I'm 100% closing out as well. Look, a fully healthy Kirk Cousins on the road at Philadelphia on Monday Night Football is also like, you don't love that, right? I mean, it's the Eagles' home opener. They always get up for it. It is a really good defense. They harassed Jordan Love, who only completed 50% of his passes against the Eagles, with a better surrounding cast and more mobile than Kirk Cousins, right? So you don't love that to begin with, and now you get the fact that, like, he just doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look healthy at all. I'm closing it out as well. He's going to make the hate list this week. He can't start Kirk Cousins as well. It's just worth noting, by the way, again, the primetime Kirk has become a thing. You make fun of it. But for whatever it's worth, in his last 7 Monday Night Football games, he's averaging 13.2 fantasy points per game. And there's nothing about this matchup or how he looked in week 1 that makes you think he's going to do better than that on the road at a very tough Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Yeah.
I think there's a better chance after this game our conversation isn't keep it open or close it out on Kirk Cousins. I think that'll be the combo for the Falcons. I think it's going to get louder and louder for Michael Penix, who was a top 10 pick.
If they start 0-2, which, I mean, I don't know why you would.
that way?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, they lost at home to the Steelers, who all the Steelers didn't score a touchdown.
They didn't need to
right?
do anything
They kicked 6 field goals, right? And they lost. Like, that's a game you need to win. When you're the Falcons, when you have designs of winning the NFC South. And by the way, and you see the Buccaneers absolutely steamroll my Commanders. The defending division champs.
How they wasn't the favorites coming into this season.
Yeah.
Like they went like midway deep into the playoffs. But now we know, like, they rolled.
And the Saints, by the way, I mean, again, they were playing the Panthers, so better to litmus test in week 2. But the Saints looked great.
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak using motion left and right, like that offense looked a lot better. The Saints have always had a good defense. And Derek Carr looked like very, very comfortable in the new offense. Again, it was the Panthers, so just week 1 we don't overreact. But my point is that if you are Raheem Morris, new coach, new job, and you start 0-2. And your quarterback can't move, you have to have that conversation especially when you've got, Connor, as you've referred to him, the most pro-ready rookie quarterback in this year's class.
I think he'll look better than the other guys that have already played.
Definitely, especially with what they got around. Would you say it's fair to try to get Michael Penix right now on the waivers, especially in a super flex where he may be available?
I don't mind. I mean, again, it depends on who you're having to drop for him, but like, I think the upside.
Kirk Cousins.
I mean, it depends. In a super flex, you're probably still having to start Kirk Cousins. Again, it
starter.
depends on who else you have here. I'll say this, that if I'm looking for bench depth, upside bench depth in a super flex league, I prefer Michael Penix Jr. to, say, Malik Willis. I saw a lot of people picking up Malik Willis, and I get Malik Willis is going to start, and we have no idea that if Penix is ever going to see the field this year. But, like, I have no hope for Malik Willis doing anything this week.
Producer Adam just let me know that Penix is 60-1 to win Rookie of the Year. So after this game, now they got the Chiefs after that. So it's like.
But think about that, right? To your point. All right. What if they lose here and then they lose to the Chiefs and they're 0-3.
It's going to be a conversation.
It would be extremely hard to see they just keep going with that.
That's why I'm saying that I didn't realize they played the Chiefs in week 3, but that's what I was saying, and I don't mean to beat it up because I know that the Falcons are your team, dude. But like, and listen, I'm a Commanders fan. Like, you know, Falcons. I'm a Commanders
Go
fan.
on.
Whatever. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's why that was such a massive loss in week 1 to the Steelers at home, because you've got to go on the road at Philadelphia, who looked awesome against the Packers, and then you have to play the Chiefs in week 3. Like, yeah. Okay.
Our next guy here, Devin Singletary.
Bird up. Right, that's what they say?
Rise up.
Rise
Rise
up. Okay. Bird up.
There's a lot of confidence. Bird up.
Bird up, baby.
Come on.
Maybe they'll give that a spin.
Bird up. You're in the Georgia Dome. I'm birding up.
It finna be birds down.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag
Well,
bird up.
this is an old song. This is probably before either of your time, but there's a song by Morris Day and the Time called "The Bird." It was Morris Day and the Time were in Purple Rain with Prince. He's one of the Prince proteges. Anyway, I love Morris Day and the Time, and that's one of their songs, which is just like a goofy,
They could
really
play
fun
it after
song.
Michael
Yeah,
Penix throws a touchdown. Everybody
have
has
you
the bird
heard
up
about
dance.
the bird? Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
All right, Motor
Shout out to Morris Day
Singletary.
and the Time.
He's got
Wherever you are.
He's got the Commanders. Listen, Devin Singletary, enough volume, Lawrence, in week 1. He gets 10 carries. He gets 5 targets. The good thing is the matchup here looks better for him, and he still feels like the guy in this backfield. Are you keeping this one open?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this open. Got him as RB24, so that's fringe running back 2 for me. Like you say, Rachaad White was able to get 16.5 fantasy points against this Commanders defense in week 1. Despite him only having 30 rushing yards, he did it mostly through the receiving game there. Bucky Irvin had 76 scrimmage yards versus Washington. So there you saw 2 different running backs have some success against the Commanders' run defense. And then you look at the fact that Tyrone Tracy and Eric Gray only combined for 4 carries. So with all those facts, I'm going to keep it open with Devin Singletary and put him as a little flex play if you need him.
I'm right there with you, Lawrence. I'm at 26, so I'm 2 spots lower than you just because he didn't do much. But to your point about the workload, in a game in which they got boat raced by the Vikings, Devin Singletary still got 14 touches. He got 71% of the team's running back touches. He had a 13% target share in this game as well. To your point about my Commanders defense, they were top 12 in terms of most fantasy running back points allowed in week number 1. Both Rachaad White and Bucky Irving got going. I think this will be a closer game. I hope my Commanders are able to win this one, but I don't think they're going to blow them out. And so I certainly think the workload of Devin Singletary keeps him in that flex territory. If you're in a league where you were thinking about starting Devin Singletary, a 12-team or deeper league, I have Singletary again at running back 26. So I'm going to continue to keep it open on him.
Sticking with the running backs, but somebody a little further down the list. Jaylen Warren's got the Broncos. Matthew, he comes in as RB37 for you after a week where he didn't get a lot of work. Maybe because of the hamstring injury, but we simply aren't sure of what it was.
Yeah, I mean, just played 29% of the snaps in week 1. They're easing him back in as well. Only 4 total touches last week. That was the same number as Cordero Patterson. Shout out the great Cordero Patterson. I need to see it first before I can trust Jaylen Warren in my lineup. I need to see it. I need to see the guy that we saw last year. I want to see him fully healthy, and I want to see him getting a full workload. I want to see the Steelers' offense look competent. Again, they managed a bunch of field goals against
it was
the
weird. It was weird because they moved the ball at will, never could score.
Yeah, they faltered in the red zone. Anyway, I'm going to close it out. He's my running back 37 this week as well. I think, again, until we see it for once on the field, I think Najee Harris the only Steelers running back you can trust.
Yeah, he's running back 36 for me, and just seeing Cordero Patterson have 2 more carries than Jaylen Warren, that's alarming. Like, you can't just say, oh, it was just 1 week. He still might be dealing with the injury, but to see Najee, and again, when Justin Fields is starting, that's going to take away touches from your running back. It's definitely going to take away touches from your second running back. So Najee Harris and Justin Fields combined for 34 carries for 127 rushing yards. So where is there room to really go with that? Then you look at the fact that this Broncos and Steelers game totals at 36.5. That's the lowest of week 2 by a big margin, 2.5 points. The Chargers and the Panthers is set at 39 points. So to see the Steelers and the Broncos game that low, that just lets you know it's going to be a running game.
All right, moving over to a wide receiver here in Diontae Johnson. He's got the Chargers. It was not pretty for the Panthers offense, Lawrence. And Diontae Johnson this week, not a great matchup either. The Chargers under Harbaugh, they're going to be a stingier team on defense.
Yeah.
Can you keep this one open another week?
I could keep it open. And to say it wasn't pretty is an understatement for the Panthers. It was downright bad. And I think we all expect a nice year out of Diontae Johnson here. The silver lining is that the Chargers did let up 257 passing yards to Gardner Minshew in week 1. That's the 8th most in the NFL. Diontae Johnson played 66% of the snaps, which was second on the team. He was second in targets. Six targets is decent, but you want to see more, being that it's Diontae Johnson. But I'll keep it open another week.
I'm also going to keep it open. He's my wide receiver 33, so he's a high-end wide receiver 4, low-end wide receiver 3 for me this week. But to your point that you were starting him, I agree with you. You mentioned the targets last week. He also, in addition to those targets that he got, the 6 targets, 2 of them were in the end zone. Now, he didn't connect, obviously. It was a tough day at the office for Diontae Johnson, but hopefully better days are ahead against the Chargers, who, by the way, are almost a touchdown favorite in this one. So, in theory, the Panthers should be throwing often, and when they're throwing often, they're throwing to Diontae Johnson. Now, they got boat raced last week, and, they were throwing a lot, and it was kind of empty production to the extent there was any production for Diontae Johnson. So, even though they got beat badly and they were throwing a lot, it didn't really translate in production. But I'm willing to trust the talent here and the fact that they were looking for him as often as they were. 20% target share for him last week, plus the end zone targets gives me confidence. To your point, Gardner Minshew was able to move the ball against the Chargers.
How about Terry McLaurin on your Commanders, Matthew? Great news is they got the Giants this week, who did not look good against Sam Darnold and the Vikings week 1. Wasn't a great week 1, though, for Terry McLaurin himself, as much as Jaden Daniels' passing production came in garbage time.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels didn't look great from an NFL perspective. I don't know what your thoughts were there.
I agree.
He fantasy-wise, we didn't care because he got you the rushing and he got you the 2 rushing touchdowns. But real NFL-wise, I thought, that's shaky. I don't think any of the rookie quarterbacks played particularly well.
The timing was off for literally everyone.
Yeah, it was tough. Having said that, Terry McLaurin is still, the number 1 wide receiver on a team that last week gave up 2 passing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson and Jaylen Naylor both scored for the Vikings against the G-Men. His last 6 games against the Giants, weirdly, Terry McLaurin absolutely crushes. He's averaging over 17 fantasy points per game in his last 6 against the New York Giants. He had at least 13 points in 5 of those 6 games as well. As you see, I'm not exactly sure whatever. He started slow last year, I guess, is the point of this graphic as well. But, I think better days are ahead for Terry McLaurin, so I'm keeping it open to an extent. I'm at wide receiver 37, so again, he's a wide receiver 4 for me this week, but I'm not closing it out on Terry McLaurin just yet. I do think better days are ahead, and I think they start against the Giants on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this open. The Giants' secondary is a little worse than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' secondary. I think the big thing with Jaden Daniels, especially in the first half for them, they left the training wheels on them. And you could tell that by the fact that Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler was their leading 2 receivers on the day, and that was not even close. The good thing for Terry McLaurin, he was the leading wide receiver in targets there. So I think they'll take a shot this game at the Giants. They as down bad as the Browns or the Panthers right now. So you hit them, you saw good things with the Commanders. You didn't see no good things with the Giants, and Giants got the quarterback advantage. I think they take some shots to Terry McLaurin this round.
A different look for the Jaguars offense in week 1, Lawrence, where Christian Kirk played a little less than new additions Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., a guy that's been so reliable in fantasy, did not have a great week 1. Is that going to continue for him?
Yeah, probably. I said on Sunday, Fantasy Football pregame, that Brian Thomas Jr. would establish himself quickly as this team's top receiver, and Trevor Lawrence made a fantastic throw, probably the second best throw behind Richardson's bomb. Fantastic throw. Brian Robinson was there. Not crazy stats for Brian Thomas. Not great stats for him, but you could see that brewing already. I got Christian Kirk at wide receiver 47 this week. Not to mention, they're going up against the Browns defense, as bad as the Browns were on offense, they still held CeeDee Lamb to 5 catches and 61 yards. Matter of fact, Cowboys receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and Jaylen Tolbert, 10 receptions for 113 yards. That's not good for 3 wide receivers. So certainly now seeing that Christian Kirk looks like the number 3 receiver for right now, I'm going to keep it closed for this week.
To your point, the Browns allowed the 5th lowest catch rate to the slot in week 1, which is where Christian Kirk lines up. Brandon Cooks scored the touchdown against the Browns last week, but it's a bit of a broken play. Look, we know the Browns defense is really good. The positives here, the game is in Jacksonville, but Christian Kirk you see my ranks there, right? He's wide receiver 42 for me. He's a wide receiver 5 for me this week, so I'm closing it out on Christian Kirk until I see it more. Again, the production that they got from Bigsby along with Eatin in the passing game, the emergence of Brian Thomas. You're still going to get some Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram in this passing game. Just one of the pro Christian Kirk arguments was the amount of volume and targets that we expect him to get. We just didn't see that in week number 1. It's disappointing performance. So I'm going to close it out in a bad matchup where we're uncertain about his role. And you know what Christian Kirk did to me? Because I had Christian Kirk in a guillotine league. You know what he did with me?
He got you chopped.
Well, you know what else he did to me? He effed me. Lawrence, do you know where he effed me?
Well, that's not fun. It doesn't sound fun, to say the least.
No. But do you know where? Do you know where?
I know where.
All right,
I'll leave it to you, though.
There you go. There you go. you cowards.
We're gonna let that one die in the past.
Yeah, no, it was right up the chuckle hole.
There we
That's
go.
right.
There it
I'm
is.
just telling
Send
you
it
right
home.
now. Come on. Yeah, it's 100%. Whatever. We got producer Adam is in the chair today.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
know, whatever.
Steven's been away.
Yeah.
Wherever Steven
It's
is.
fine. It's fine.
Substitute Teacher Day Part 2.
Adam told me before the show he already updated his LinkedIn. He's good.
There we go.
He's fine.
All right.
He's fine.
One more player on this list here, guys.
Just want to point out there's a list of people that have done that to me, and Christian Kirk is on it.
Was Mark Andrews the original?
Mark Andrews is the original.
Was the OG?
Yeah, he's the OG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christian Watson
Got
against
me
the
chopped
Colts.
in a guillotine league. It's unbelievably embarrassing.
As
Awful.
we said on yesterday's Chuckle Hole episode of Fantasy Football Happy Hour,
Yeah.
this really has nothing to do with the Green Bay wide receivers as much as this is about Christian Watson. It's the trickle effect of Malik Willis, or really any backup quarterback they have, but specifically Malik Willis in this situation, starting for Green Bay instead of Jordan Love. Take a listen to Coach LaFleur, what he had to say on the game plan for Malik Willis.
What's a reasonable percentage of the playbook for Malik Willis to know going into week 2 of the season?
Yeah, I would never, I can't answer that. Like, to put a percentage on it, I think it's reasonable to know that he'll know 100% of the game plan.
How much do you have to tweak, adjust the offense for Malik, or just going to go with what you guys got?
Would you want us to roll out the game plan for everybody?
I think that's the most abrasive I've ever seen Matt LaFleur.
That boy, man.
Yeah.
Who is like, smiley.
Yeah.
Oh, even
He
in
knows.
even in tough times. This is obviously
He knows what's about to happen.
understandably it's very frustrating.
Very
I
frustrating.
mean, you got a quarterback who there's deep playoff run aspirations, there's MVP aspirations,
Right.
and all of it is realistic. And then he goes out with 5 seconds left.
Right.
Like, it just sucks. So, I mean, I get it.
Same.
I think what you're looking for here, Lawrence, is you're looking for some bad Malik Willis stats. And you know what? I've got some bad Malik Willis stats.
I got him too.
He's attempted 15 deep passes. He's completed 2 of them. See, I don't think that's good. I'm no mathematician, but I just feel like 2 of 15, I feel like that's a bad percentage off the top of my head. His passer rating for his career, 48.7. Also, I don't think that's good. I got to be honest with you guys. And now he's got Christian Watson. Now he's got Romeo Doubs. Look, we talked about this yesterday, but I'm closing it out on Christian Watson. I ranked him wide receiver 48. That might have been too generous. That might have been too high. Look, I mean, here's the thing about Watson. He's a big play guy. He only needs one play to sort of make your week. But the odds of that happening again, Malik Willis has completed 2 of 15 deep pass attempts in his career. I just don't think you can, until we see Malik Willis look competent on the NFL field as a quarterback over the course of an NFL game, and we haven't seen that yet. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Until we see that, it is hard to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to start Romeo Doubs. I'm going to start Christian Watson. They were already shaky starts just because they spread the ball around so much, because they've also got Jaden Reed, because they've got Dontavian Wicks, because they've got the tight ends and Josh Jacobs. There's a lot of weapons there in Green Bay. But now you're like, How many 3-and-outs are they going to have under Malik Willis? How run-heavy are they going to be? I think they're going to be very run-heavy. I will say that, again, maybe Jayden Reed has become sort of interesting this week because they try to do some jet sweeps and quick short passes and try to get the ball in his hands because he's such an explosive playmaker. But that's the only one. I think
that's the package receiver that you can start.
that you could stomach.
Yeah.
But
Like,
until we
like,
see it.
Yeah.
And, they're playing the Colts. They're playing the 0-1 Colts. This is two desperate 0-1 teams.
Well, I'll tell you about one of those desperate 0-1 teams, the Colts. They sacked C.J. Stroud 4 times.
Yes, they did.
And he kind of got bailed out of 2 interceptions, C.J. Stroud did. So that's even without even talking about Malik Willis, right? Get back to Christian Watson. 3 catches, 13 yards, and a touchdown. That's with Jordan Love, right? I guess the good thing you could say in Malik Willis's case, he's going to have some weapons. He's going to have a decent, reliable defense. Definitely going to have a run game. Josh Jacobs looked good. But
right. And Malik Willis has athletic ability,
he's
right?
Athletic, but it won't help Christian Watson. His running, whatever rushing yards he get, ain't going to help Christian Watson. He's made 3 starts back in 2022. None of those starts he was able to throw 400 yards. He wasn't able to throw for a touchdown, but he did throw for 3 interceptions. But he ain't throw for what we need. So I have Christian Watson at wide receiver 52. Hell, I got Alan Lazard ranked higher than Christian Watson this week. Yeah, so I'm closing it. I'm locking it. I'm throwing it away.
Yeah. Willis, there may be potential fantasy value in Willis because of the legs, but
yeah, for him specifically.
Yeah, but anyways, we're specific to the pass catchers in Green Bay. We're closing it out for this week.
To recap, keep it open or close it out. Here's Matthew's rankings, of course, and also the closes. And we're going to jump to Rotoworld player news in just a second. But Kirk Cousins is a close at QB 20.
Yep.
Devin Singletary, keep it open, RB 26 for Singletary. Good matchup. Jaylen Warren is a close at RB 37. Diontae Johnson open at wide receiver 33. Terry McLaurin open at wide receiver 37. We just went over Kirk and Christian Watson. They are both closes. Wide receiver 42. Wide receiver 48. So let's jump into some very important Rotoworld player news here, and we'll kick things off with Christian McCaffrey, who, listen, they're calling it day-to-day leading into week 2 against the Vikings. Achilles tendonitis, a calf strain.
We're all day-to-day.
We're all day-to-day, and Christian McCaffrey is very day-to-day right now. This is looking like another Jordan Mason week, Matthew.
It really is. I mean, so Adam Schefter reported that there is a chance that McCaffrey could miss week 2. They're dealing with, he says, like, Achilles soreness. I don't even know what that is, but that doesn't sound good, especially because, listen, again, I'm no doctor here, but I feel like if you're a running back, you need your Achilles to be healthy to run.
Maybe.
Yeah. And if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, just play this out logically. If you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're Kyle Shanahan, you're like, well, let me think about this. All right, well, we want to be back in the Super Bowl this year, so we want this season to go, well past 18 weeks. We want to play, 22, 23 weeks. And we play the Vikings. Well, we just handled the Jets, which is supposedly one of the best defenses in the NFL. We had no issue with them.
Jordan Mason looked great.
looked great. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to be okay against Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I think we'll be able to squeak out a win without Christian McCaffrey. Let's keep him healthy for one more week and let's see how it plays out. Like, there's no urgent. If I'm the 49ers, there's no urgency here. They manhandled the Jets. Right. They manhandled them, and I don't think Vikings played well against the Giants, but whatever. Like, I don't think if you objectively, you don't think you're less worried about the Vikings defensively than you are the 49ers. Although I think the Vikings have a good defense this year, and I think they'll be better, and I think Flores has done a nice job there.
Right.
But still, if you're Kyle Shanahan and you're like, oh, by the way, we'll also have Brandon Ayuk up to speed by this week as well. Purdy looked better. We got Trent Williams back. Like,
he said,
as I sit here today, I feel like it is more likely than not McCaffrey sits on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to say he doesn't play again. Kyle Shanahan also said that if it was a playoff game, he would have played. Now, I don't know what that even adds positive to the situation because the playoffs is in January. Like, okay.
Yeah, in fantasy, we're like,
all right, what we going to do with that, Kyle? But, yeah, just, if this was a playoff game, he would have played. But
if it's Mason, is he a top 10 play for you?
He is. He's actually my running back 10. He's right there he's right there on the border. I have him at running back 10 in my initial ranks. I do.
Yeah,
As I sit here today, I expect McCaffrey to sit and Mason to play. And if you drafted McCaffrey at number 1 overall, like, you're allowed to be a little worried. And I think you may want to, depends on the rest of your depth and that kind of situation. Obviously, Mason is likely gone in your league. I would assume he is. If he wasn't picked up before the game on Monday, I'm sure he went, waivers has gone through every league.
Yeah.
But if for somehow he is still, you're going to grab him. But otherwise, like, make an offer. Make an offer.
I picked McCaffrey number 1 in one league. That's the only pick I had number 1. Didn't draft Jordan Mason because they only allow you a certain amount of running backs. And going into Monday night, I was able to put McCaffrey in the IR, pick up Jordan Mason. I'm good.
Yeah.
Sitting pretty.
Because I'd be stressing if I couldn't do that.
I have a dynasty team. It's in this league of experts and in the fantasy industry. And like prior to last year, I'd won 2 of the 4 years, and I'd finished like second 1 year and a third another year. Like I sort of had a great little dynasty run, 2 titles. But then like I had to tear it all down. So last year was a tank year, and I ended up with the number 1 pick. I got Marvin Harrison. Great. This year again, I've just put in. The team's gotten older and decimated by injuries, and so like last week, like again, I'm expecting to lose again and be like have the number 1 pick again this year. So this is just shows you how dumb fantasy football can be sometimes. My running backs in this league, I don't have McCaffrey in this league, but I have Jordan Mason. I picked up Jordan Mason last year, and literally I'm so bad at running back that on Friday I had to set my starting lineup of my 2 running backs. The 2 best running backs I had on my team is Jordan Mason and Austin Eckler. Like, that's all. I mean, again, because my team has just gotten old and whatever, and players are injured. And then at tight end, I also have T.J. Hawkinson. Obviously, he's out for the year. So the only other tight end that I actually have on the team, again, it's a dynasty team, was Isaiah Likely. So I started Isaiah Likely. I started Jordan Mason. Again, like, I'm going to lose, but these are the best players I have on my team.
Get 3 points from each of them.
Yeah, I'm going to get 3 points from each one, but they're at least going to be active because I've got, like, again, I got, like, the Cedric Tillmans of the world on this team. Like, I mean, it's a 12-team league, 33-man rosters with 3 IR spots. It goes deep. Like, if you have a pulse, Diami Brown is owned in this league. I mean, it's just right. And so I had the highest score in the league. I have no business having the highest score in the league. I won. I'm sorry, Jeff Collins, wherever you're at. Like, you had a better team than me. You should have beaten me. You didn't. Like,
hey, I can respect that you say that, though, because a lot of folks be trying to act like when they when they get that cheap win, they be like, hey,
it was the cheapest win of all time. Like, when I started Jordan Mason, it was literally because I was just like, well, maybe he gets 5 carries. You know what I mean? But like every other. Like I have like
he's a top 5 running back in fantasy.
It's like Diontae. It's like Diontae Foreman. Like my running back room is so ugly and decimated, and like it was just the dumbest win. And I started Isaiah Likely because I'm like, well, they're gonna play 2 tight end sets. Maybe he gets 5 points or something like that. And anyway,
it is better to be lucky in fantasy.
Between the 2 of those guys, and I also have Cooper Kupp on that team, so it just like I ended up with the highest score in the league, which I had no business doing. It's also a tight end premium league. So likely did 30 points. Likely did like 33 points or something. Just went nuclear. And then Jordan Mason's game, and like it's just the dumbest win of all time. So anyway, sorry, Jeff Collins, wherever you're at. Like, you should have won. You have the better team. All right.
Brutal.
All right. Anyway.
You also drink free, Jeff Collins.
Yes. But I'll also say this. Like, again, I think Jordan Mason plays this week, and there's a chance I may have lucked into a top 10 running back because –
this is dragging on.
They're not going to rush McCaffrey back. They don't need to. The way that team is built and what their designs are this season, they don't need to bring him back until he is 100% healthy.
Another backfield that we have our eyes on due to injuries, and this one's a little bit more convoluted right now. Raheem Mostert is out for Thursday Night Football. That one we got before we sat down to record the show.
Yeah, a lot of people reported that. I saw it from Barry Jackson. You see it there on your screen there at
covers the
FLA Sports Buzz, and he's covered the Dolphins for years and years and years and years. Raheem Mostert won't play Thursday. Quote from Mike McDaniel, Devon, we will see how it plays out. So I guess maybe there's a chance, as I read this quote, Connor, that maybe Achane might miss this game as well. It's the Thursday night game, short week. They play the Bills. They're home to at least it's a home game. They're home to the Bills. Right. They played Jacksonville last week, so they're staying in the state of Florida. They're home to to the Bills, but still, short week against Buffalo, division matchup. I feel like if there's a chance that Achane can go, he will go.
Right, but how much? what is the workload?
And this is what we talked about with Achane last year. It's like we know what he could do, but it's like the injuries, and now it's popping up early. So we'll see how it plays out. But we could be looking at a backfield that's led by Jeff Wilson and accompanied by Jaylen Wright, who was inactive last week.
So in terms of where my ranks sit today, and they'll constantly be updated as we get more news, but I have Achane at running back 5. I'm still assuming that he is going to play against Buffalo, play a lot. I have Jeff Wilson at running back 36. I have Jaylen Wright at running back 44. But what I tweeted out was, I don't think you can trust any non-Achane running back on Thursday night against the Bills. Again, let's see how this backfield plays out. And while we saw Jeff Wilson active last week, we didn't see Jaylen Wright. He was a healthy scratch, the rookie. I actually advocated for picking up Jaylen Wright versus Jeff Wilson because I don't think you want to use either guy this Thursday. And I just feel like Jaylen Wright has the more long-term upside on the Dolphins for this season than Jeff Wilson.
That's why they traded a future third-round pick to get back in to take him.
And that's the guy, that we drafted at the end of our fantasy drafts, especially in Dynasty. I don't think there's a league out there that drafted Jeff Wilson this season. Maybe last season.
No.
Definitely not this season.
If you're desperate and you have to start a non-Achane running back, my ranks are saying Wilson over Wright for this week based on whatever information we have right now. But I'm just saying, if you're searching the waiver wire for a Dolphins running back that isn't Mostert or Achane, I'm advocating for Wright, as I said, not Wilson, because I think Wright long-term will be the better pickup.
Yeah, and he's available in over 70% of Yahoo leagues as it stands right now. That is going to change within the next 24 hours, so jump on that one if you can.
And then actually I literally just got an alert here. Devon Achane practiced in what appeared to be a lighter walkthrough session. Watch him go through all running back drills and reps, including changing direction, catching passes on his ankle, no red jersey or clear visual limitations from media viewing, and that is from Cameron Wolfe, who does a good job, covers the
NFL Network.
NFL Network covers
close
the team.
to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
That's what you want to hear.
Cam's a good dude.
That's
Cam's
what
a good
you
reporter.
want to hear on a Wednesday when the game is on Thursday. You want to hear something like don't want to hear like he's watching practice or he did not practice.
I'll also say this, I worked with Cameron at ESPN. We were both at ESPN. Cameron's now obviously at NFL Network. He's a fantasy player. Cam's a fantasy player, so he knows exactly what he's doing with this tweet.
He's a good follow for the Dolphins during the summer
For
because
sure.
he angles some things from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that.
He's a
from
good
any
dude.
reporter.
Cam's the best.
So, all right, a couple more injuries we're tracking here. That's top one, Kenneth Walker. I mean, we have to have our eyes on this because he's had abdominal injuries in the past. Charbonnet would be a massive play if Walker's down, I would think, Matthew.
For sure.
Keenan Allen, Jordan Addison, Jake Ferguson, Russell Wilson we're also tracking. Russell Wilson more because some people might be in a bind and they're going to start Justin Fields, and also how it affects the rest of the Steelers offense. But I want to get back to Walker before we talk about the Steelers here. I mean, what are we talking about upside-wise with Charbonnet if Walker's down?
Top 12 fantasy running back.
Yeah.
I just, we think it's a good offense. He would get the majority of the work. He already caught a touchdown. He's a true
pass
three-down.
catcher.
Yeah, he's a true three-down back. And so, Charbonnet would be an easy top 12 running back if anything were to happen to him. We'll see about Jake Ferguson and David Njoku as well, who's not on that list. Two guys that we hope can go this Sunday. We'll keep tracking those injuries on the way. The Jordan Addison one is interesting because he was banged up this summer as well in training camp.
Yeah.
Jalen Naylor, who's their third wide receiver, and they like a lot. He won the wide receiver 3 job, caught a touchdown already. And so for deeper leagues, I have Jalen Naylor in a couple of deep leagues. Just kind of an interesting name. He's probably already gone in a super deep league, but just if Addison were to miss, the Vikings sort of, they're playing San Francisco, obviously not a great matchup, but still, Jalen Naylor just a interesting deep league name, especially if Addison's going to miss more time.
And the thing with Russell Wilson here too, just know that if Russell, the offense changes, the usage for these receivers and running backs change depending on which quarterback it is. Justin Fields ran 14 times in week 1. You may get half of that if you're lucky from Russell Wilson. Justin Fields will keep the top receiver fantasy relative George Pickens, but with Wilson, you got a better chance of those running backs catching passes out the backfield.
Completely agree. All right, dominate this NFL season with a Fantasy Life Plus subscription. Get weekly rankings, start sit advice, DFS analysis, and betting tools. Use promo code SEASON20 for 20% off.
Yeah.
Go to
There's trade raiders. There's a waiver hub. There's all sorts of tools that help you DFS, sports betting, pick'ems, and obviously season-long fantasy
The Jay
football. It's a
Croucher
great
hotline,
tool.
our favorite.
We actually give you Jay Croucher's personal cell phone.
And you can text and call him. He might not answer, but you could do it.
When you subscribe to Fantasy Life Plus, again, use the code Season20 and you get 20% off.
And go to fantasylife.com/rotoworld to learn more. All right, we're taking our first break. When we're back, Jameson Williams continue his breakout season against a banged-up Bucs secondary. We'll debate after this.
On third down, deep drop, Goff taking a shot downfield for Williams, who's open. Jameson's got it to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit. Jameson Williams.
Me personally, I expect to have a big game. I guess this is just big to the world just because it's my first one. But I plan to have a lot more, you know. I don't plan on this being my best game of my career. I plan on this just being the starter, you know, me being me.
A breakout game from Jameson Williams, the one we've been waiting for. Who's eating good? Served by Applebee's. Jameson Williams was eating good week 1, Matthew, and how does that affect him going into week 2? We've been waiting for this one.
Look, certainly you're very encouraged by this. Like, does he get that much of a target share? He had a 32% target share. It was a game where both Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown were fairly quiet. How was Khalif Raymond? It all got sucked up basically by Jameson Williams and the running backs here. It was career high in fantasy points, receiving yards, targets, receptions, blah, 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 blah. But I think the most encouraging thing here is an 85% snap rate. Right? He played all over the field. He did a lot of great things here, and it's his first time in a regular season game having a snap rate above 70%. Feels like he's finally fully healthy. He finally completely understands the route tree, that he has a much more expanded role in this offense. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm at wide receiver 30 this week, so I'm a borderline wide receiver 3 this week. But we've never questioned the talent. It's always been, can he put it all together? Can he get healthy? And can the Lions use him the right way? And early indications in week 1 are that all the offseason talk from Dan Campbell about this is going to be a big Jameson Williams year. We're counting on this guy. Our confidence in him is one of the reasons why we let Josh Reynolds leave. Might have also been the 2 bad drops. But in the playoffs that cost him a Super Bowl, no big deal. What are we going to say? But I do think Jameson Williams is more legit than not.
I mean, look at him here on this video. You see him catching the football at every single level, and that's when you know, like, you a bona fide for real wide receiver. Him, along with Xavier Worthy and Jaden Reed, where all 3 of these guys was in my optimal flex plays for week 1, and Jameson Williams ended up wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 5. Wide receiver 5. Then you think about it, they're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looked good on offense in week 1. This game total was 51.5. That's by more than 2.5 points than the next highest game. So you're gonna get some back and forth here, much like you got with the Los Angeles Rams. I got him at wide receiver 27. Obviously, he may not get 121 yards every single game, but this is a 1,000+ yard receiver, and I think that starts this season. Got him as wide receiver 27.
The game's in Detroit as well this Sunday, which is helpful. Again, another game for Goff and Jameson Williams in a dome at home against the Buccaneers.
And I think to your point, Lawrence, just seeing him so involved in Ben Johnson's offense, it wasn't, hey, here's a deep shot, or two reverse plays, or reverse.
Right.
It was legitimate routes. They had him going on a shallow cross. They had him working deep. They just wanted the ball in his hands.
Just beautiful stuff. To
tripled
be honest,
his targets, his career high in targets for a game.
It's nice to know for that. Like, the offense just got scarier because now you're not just worrying about Amon-Ra St. Brown on both sides of the slots. You're worrying about Jameson Williams everywhere because of that speed and explosiveness.
Right. And Laporta. And, oh, by the way, they can always dump it up to Gibbs in the backfield, and he can take off for the races. Montgomery moves the pile. If you're a Lions fan,
it's a good-looking team.
Good-looking team. One pride. One pride.
You got that one.
One pride.
You should tweak every team hashtag just a little bit and see if it'll catch on, like you did Bird Up.
Right, Bird Up.
One
roar.
Yeah, there we go.
One roar.
One roar.
Instead of Giants Pride, like Giants respecter.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to try to switch
He
it
came
up.
up with a couple of
Yeah,
good ones right
yeah.
there.
Anyway, our stage manager, Kenny, lifelong Lions fan.
Yeah, he's riding high.
Oh, my God.
As he should be. He waited long enough.
We've been working on this show for 3 years. I've never seen him smiling more than I've seen him,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
Kenny loves it. Yeah. Why wouldn't he?
I'll tell you who else is smiling. Alec Pierce with that bomb he caught from Anthony Richardson, Lawrence. That's probably the prettiest ball he's ever seen coming his way in his life down the field like that. Yeah. The real question is, though, they got the Packers, right? We talked about how the Colts are going to be hungry both teams going to be hungry to get their first win.
Yeah.
Can he stay involved like this in the offense, especially with Josh Downs down right now?
He definitely earned himself some more snaps, but this was a very high efficient day for him at receiver. I mean, he did it on, that Randy Moss meme where it show him looking and it's like 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes. That was Alec Pierce. But I would say pump the brakes on throwing him into your lineup because we didn't have a good day out of Michael Pittman fantasy-wise. You're missing Josh Downs. And, oh, by the way, Adonai Mitchell, we could be talking about him right now had Anthony Richardson been able to connect with him on one deep ball and the other was about a 30-yarder that Richardson, he completely missed that one, but it's there. You see Anthony Richardson is getting after it. But I think that guy more consistently will eventually be Adonai Mitchell. And when Josh Downs gets back, that's who Anthony Richardson built up his most chemistry with last season. If you see that touchdown pass he had to Ashton Doolin where he caught it over the middle, raced to the end zone, that's going to be Josh Downs, and that's what Anthony Richardson is going to be looking for. So great week for Alec Pierce. He definitely was depended on and was very reliable, but week to week, this is probably not what you're going to get.
Yeah, I didn't rank him this week, to your point, 3 targets. Now, 2 of them were more than 50 yards, and I think that's encouraging, right? And by the way, there was camp report that Alec Pierce had a good camp. Like, there were moments last year, there were flashes, and it seems like, in terms of what we know about Anthony Richardson, he likes to run the ball and he likes to chuck it deep. And so the deep threats are going to have some value here. But, right, it's hard to sit here and say, like, oh, you got to go grab Alec Pierce. I don't mind if in a deeper league, again, you stash him, see what happens here. But we haven't seen Josh Downs yet in this offense, to your point, Lawrence, as well. And A.D. Mitchell, he's coming as well. So if Pierce does it for another week, then I'm in. But for now, it's a sort of keep the name on the radar. Good to know that there's talent there and they will throw deep and he's part of that deep passing attack. But hard to see him having consistent fantasy success.
He can run, can't he?
He can.
Great athlete.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You look like me out there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lawrence, you had to cover me. You saw me at
I know all about
Stadium.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
You and Alec Pierce,
me
like right
Pierce,
here, right?
Exactly. Exactly right. Deep threats. But anyway, I did not rank him this week. So Lawrence and I are on the same page.
Another surprise, Alan Lazard with his old quarterback back on the fold. Lazard goes off. 6 catches, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Connor, you're Mr. Jets here. I'm just going to ask you, Alan Lazard last year was a $40 million healthy scratch. Now, he catches 2 touchdown passes on Monday night. One is in junk time from Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
Yes.
The other was a classic free play from Rodgers.
Right.
You'll see right here.
Exactly. Just whatever. He had the flag, and he's just like, all right, screw it.
That's great stuff, to be honest.
But that's Lazard and Rodgers playing together for years and years and years. And,
right,
and Lazard knows exactly the mental connection. So I ask you, Connor J. Rogers, host of 8 billion different podcasts that aren't this one, what should we do with Alan Lazard?
If you're desperate, you can play him the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike Williams is on a pitch count. And when I mean pitch count, Mike Williams is, giving you, 6 to 10 snaps. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's coming off an ACL. It's going to take time. Him and Garrett Wilson look good together, but that's going to take time. Tyler Conklin, not involved at all. Breece Hall, not his best day through the air. Alan Lazard is a real thing right now. Xavier Gipson and Malachi Corley, nowhere to be found. Corley played 1 snap. Lazard is legitimately a number 2 in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense right now, Lawrence.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly. Emphasize on the word for right now. Mike Williams only played 18% of the snaps. That offense is going to be at its best when Mike Williams gets up to speed. So, if, like you said, if you're desperate, I guess get it while the getting is good, but just know that that's Alan Lazard's best game from a reception and yardage standpoint since week 4 of 2022. 2022.
Yeah.
we in 2024 right now,
Yes,
Matthew.
we are. Yes, sir.
So-
He's my wide receiver 51 this week, but again, like I didn't rank Alec Pierce. So to your point,
Desperation
Connor,
flex.
if you are desperate, they're on the road to Tennessee this week. You expect that L'Jarius Sneed is going to pay a lot of attention to Garrett Wilson in this one as well. So there may be some more opportunities for Lazard on the road at the Titans. He's my wide receiver 51. What do you know? America's nipples are hard for Alan Lazard. Once again.
Nailed it. Conferences change,
Mine,
but
though.
true rivalries never die. The Apple Cup is back at Husky Stadium. Catch the biggest battle in the Northwest when the Dogs take on the Cougs this Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Peacock. We're taking our last break. Last call's next. We'll tell you what bets we're placing already for week number 2. It's early line alert right after this. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets instantly, plus get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Download the app and use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. It is time for last call, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. Let's do a little early line alert. Lawrence, what are you looking at for week number 2?
I'm looking at the Colts at Packers. Colts -3 here. I wonder why that's so close, especially with the quarterback change for the Packers. But if you watched the Colts and the Texans last week, this was a battle.
Yeah.
This is going to be a battle for years. Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud going at it. I'm going to alt line here at +171 at -7.
I like
Oh,
it.
I like it. I like
that
it.
a lot. That line, I think
They
that line's
should
gonna
win
move.
by at least
Yeah,
a
it's gonna-
touchdown.
I agree.
That's why we do early line alert. Catch them
what
while
we
you
do.
can.
Exactly.
Matthew, what about you?
I'm going the Steelers -2.5 on the road at Denver. I thought Bo Nix looked awful last week.
They can't do anything.
Not ready for prime time. And now, by the way, here comes T.J. Watt. Good freaking luck
And
with
their line's
that,
banged
by the
up.
way. Huh?
The Broncos line is banged up.
Broncos line is banged up. Steelers look good. They're not going to have to do a lot to win. By the way, Broncos' run defense was bad last week. Kenneth Walker ran all over them. So you think big Najee Harris game here. Yeah, give me the Steelers to win by a field goal at least against the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Seahawks -3 at New England. The over-under in this game is 37.5, and for good reason. I think Mike McDonald's defense is going to be flying around. It was not pretty for the Patriots offense besides Ramondre Stevenson. The Patriots defense is very, very underrated.
Yes.
But Geno will be able to do enough to cover in this game. I like the Seahawks.
It's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. For Lawrence and Connor, I'm Matthew Barry. Once again, thank you, first responders. We're back tomorrow. Jay will be back. Appreciate everyone. But until then, peace out. Hey, it's Matthew Barry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.